My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I'm going to break down the entire UFC 280 fight card. I'm going to give you my picks, my predictions, and my bets. We have an absolute monster card coming off the lull of 2 weeks with no fights, two sort of shoddy main event fight nights, but now we have a monster pay-per-view, and we've got a bunch of bets. Pretty confident in these picks. Before I jump in, head on over to WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. Membership gives you all sorts of features, functions, and all sorts of things to help you make money. We give you DraftKings player rankings, a DraftKings optimizer, all of our bets the very minute we place them. We have an exclusive parlay for members only. We have fighter rankings. We have confidence picks and all sorts of other content. It is only $10 a month. $10 a month. We will literally never, ever touch that price point, and we will continue to add features and functions. Head on over to WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. And if you want $50, all you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, sign up with any one of our betting partners, make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you for supporting us and our partners. That's WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit, and we will send you $50 as a thank you. And let's jump in. This is a monster card. We have 14 fights to break down. Couple close ones, couple of super wide ones, but a lot of really fun fights. And opening up this card is Karol Rosa taking on Lina Lansberg. And Lina Lansberg is a very good striker. She's actually a former Muay Thai world champion, and she fights exactly like one would expect, right? A world champion Muay Thai fighter, solid elbows, knees, amazing clinch work. She's working on her ground game, which will be huge because up until that Pani Khanzad loss in her last fight, all of her losses were because she couldn't defend takedowns, including that loss to Cyborg. She fought Cyborg, one of the most dangerous women on planet Earth, and Cyborg resorted to grappling. She's coming off that loss to Pani Khanzad where her strikes were almost doubled, and she actually started to look for her own takedowns. Karol Rosa is coming off the grappling loss to Sarah McMahon where she gave up over 10 minutes of control time, but she still somehow managed to man more total strikes. Prior to that, she hadn't lost since 2018. She's an okay striker, but has incredible volume and is willing to trade, but she doesn't really make it ugly. She'll get into these slugfests, but they somehow remain, clean, if that makes any sense. She's a decision fighter with solid takedown offense and defense. She's got 7 takedowns in 5 UFC fights and a solid 72% takedown defense. And it's an interesting fight because Lina Lansberg should be the far better striker, but we did just watch her get outstruck by someone who she also should have been a better striker than. If Karol stays busy on her feet, avoids the clinch work, and works in her own takedowns, this is an easy fight for her, right? She took down Jocelyn Edwards 4 times, who's also a good striker, and she even took down Sarah McMahon once, who we know is an Olympic wrestler. So Kara's the more well-rounded fighter. She should absolutely win this fight, but she definitely needs to avoid getting into a Muay Thai clinch and fighting that dirty Lina Lansberg fight. Then we have Makhachev taking on Malcolm Gordon. This is one of those wide fights on the card with some pretty crazy odds here. Makhachev is a Dagestani wrestler. He grew up in England, and I've said this before, but that explains how he wrestles versus how he talks. He does not wrestle like an Englishman. Mokaev is an incredible wrestler, and even though he's only listed at 7-0, he had a very, very long and successful amateur career. He's a dominant wrestler who has great grappling and an ever-improving striking game. He's coming off that win over Charles Johnson, where he had an insane 12 takedowns. 12 takedowns. There's only 15 minutes in a fight. He had 12 takedowns. That's almost 1 takedown per minute. And there's 2 things to take away from that. 1, he has insane cardio, insane pressure, insane pace. And 2, he can't hold people down. There's no reason someone should be able to get up on Makhachev 11 times. That shouldn't happen, right? 3, 4 takedowns, 5 takedowns in a 3-round fight, sure. 11, 12? Why can't you hold the guy down? Anyway, he's taking on Malcolm Gordon. Malcolm Gordon is a BJJ black belt. He's got solid striking, but a pretty suspect chin. He has a really high striking guard, and he likes to come forward, which in the past has opened him up for takedowns. But ultimately, he's typically okay with that because that's where he wants to be. He's got that BJJ black belt. He averages 2 of his own takedowns per fight, but he has a very low 25% takedown accuracy. And because of his chin, his path to most fights is to get it to the ground. He's coming off that win over Dennis Bodnar, but Don't just look at the W. Don't just look and see that it says TKO and be done with it, because that was a freak injury where Bandar broke his elbow in a scramble. Mokaev is the largest favorite on this card, and he should be. His nonstop wrestling pace is going to be too much for Malcolm, who as of right now has a 0% takedown defense. He has never defended a takedown in the UFC. He's been taken down 4 times. I imagine another 10 are going to come in this fight. He does have a BJJ black belt, but I don't think it's going to do much for him here. If we go back to his UFC debut, we saw Mokaev get taken down. So there is a world where Malcolm can be the one coming forward in wrestling, but I just do not see that happening. Mokaev is absolutely the pick. There's definitely money to be made on this fight. And BetOnline, as you know, we have 5 different betting partners. BetOnline is one of them. They're by far the best online sportsbook for MMA. It's not even close. And it's because of their prop bets. They started adding takedown lines, just straight up who's going to get more takedowns, Mokaev or Malcolm Gordon. But I think they realized some of those fights, it's just so wide, right? He'd be a minus 9,000. Now they started adding actual lines, meaning over, under on, 3.5 takedowns. So we're going to see what that line is for Mokaev. I think they're up to 15 different props now that they offer per fight. So there's a lot of money to be made, a lot of opportunity, a lot of spots to pick with BetOnline. Mokaev is the pick. If you want to go, check that out. They drop props on Tuesdays, but first go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. If you use our link to jump in the BetOnline, and if you sign up using our link and make a deposit, I will send you $50 as a thank you for supporting us and them. And it's simple math. You use our link, they pay us, and I pay you as a thank you. We all make some money. WeWantPicks.com/bets. We have 5 partners, but BetOnline for MMA has the best prop bets. That takes us to Armen Petrosyan, and he's taking on AJ Dobson. Armen Petrosyan's a fun striker who's coming off the first decision loss of his career. He has a professional kickboxing background, and if you go watch those fights, he essentially is just brawling it out and relying on his chin to keep him in there. He lets people back him up, and then he just plants his feet and throws heavy. He does not have the best takedown defense, but despite being taken down 4 times and held down for 10 minutes by Caio Borralho, he had some solid submission defense and a solid get-up game. So Armen Petrosyan, a brawler with some power and some technique and a scrappy dude. AJ Dobson is also a striker and has incredibly fast hands, knees, and kicks. He's not gun-shy, and he will throw in combinations while moving forward. He's got a ton of power to mix in with that speed as well. He does have some wrestling, but his takedowns rely on power more than technique. He'll sort of grab an underhook and try to push and bully you to the ground. But once he gets to the ground, he's got solid fundamentals and control on top. So pretty well-rounded guy, but predominantly a striker. And right now, Armen is more than a 2-1 favorite. And if you only watched his 2 UFC wins, it makes sense, right? He out-decisioned Gregory Rodriguez, who we know is an animal, in a fight where he was taken down twice. But if you watch him in that Caio Borralho fight, that does have me a little bit concerned. AJ Dobson is not like a national champion wrestler, but he can wrestle, and he will go to it like he did in his Contender Series fight. Both of these guys are coming off of losses where they were completely manhandled in the grappling department, but they're primarily strikers, and Armen is the better striker. AJ has the wrestling in his back pocket, but he tends to bang, and he is hittable. This is going to be a battle of the chins, and instead of a bet, I'm probably going to put them both in my Monkey Knife Fight Knockout Kings. That hit again this past week with UFC Vegas 62. If you don't know what that is, Monkey Knife Fight is daily fantasy, and you can pick any 3 fighters on the card, and if even one of them wins by KO or TKO, you get paid. So check it out now at WeWantPicks.com/MKF. They will instantly match your deposit. Give them 50, they'll give you 50. Give them 100, they'll give you 100. Take that free money. Play some Knockout Kings, play some of the lines, and just go ahead and explore with the free money, especially for a card like UFC 280. You're probably noticing all the jump cuts here, and that is because I am coughing like a maniac. I have no idea what's going on with my voice or my throat, but we're going to get through this. We've got Abubakar Nurmagomedov taking on Gadzhi Omargadzhiev. And if you've been watching this podcast for a while, you know that a year ago, I wouldn't have even attempted to say their names. And now here I am, being a better person every single day, learning how to pronounce these names. So, you're welcome for that. Abubakar Nurmagomedov is an aggressive wrestler with one goal in mind. He comes forward, throws hands, and then gets the takedown. When he's on top, he has solid pressure and control, but he does have questionable submission defense. His hands are solid, and while he won't be knocking anybody out anytime soon, he can hang on his feet long enough for people to forget about his wrestling and forget that a shot is coming. He's coming off that win over Jared Gordon, where he went 1 for 5 in takedown attempts, but he did rack up 4 minutes of control time and land more overall significant strikes. Gadzhi Omargadzhiev is a well-rounded guy, but predominantly a wrestler as well. On his feet, he's an okay boxer, but he has very real power. He'll plot forward and string together combinations before looking for takedowns. He'll snatch up singles or doubles, and he has no issues just picking them up, meaning he will lift you off the ground, whether it's a single or a double. And what I love about his wrestling style is that as soon as he hits the mat, he's immediately transitioning to his next position and he starts pounding away. He has great submissions, but he's mostly looking to ground and pound. He's got plenty of cardio despite most of his wins being stoppages. And he's coming off that loss to Caio Borralho at 185 pounds. But this is at 170. He has officially moved down. And it's an interesting fight because if you've only seen Gadzhi fight Caio, then Nurmagomedov is the easy pick, right? You assume that if Caio can get 10 minutes of control time, then Nurmagomedov absolutely should too. But that was at 185 pounds. And if Gadzhi keeps his power, keeps his cardio, and manages to stay dangerous at 170, just like he was at 185, then Gadzhi is the pick. So I think he's one of the best underdogs on this card. I'm going to wait till weigh-ins to make the official pick and potentially a bet. It would be sort of irresponsible for me right now to just jump on, oh, Gadzhi, and then he like shows up looking like death at weigh-ins. But I'm leaning Gadzhi. Abubakar is the safe play, the safe bet, the safe pick right now. But I want to see weigh-ins. I want to see how Gadzhi looks, how he makes that weight. And if he's looking good, sharp, you know, the bigger person and the weight cut wasn't an issue, he's going to be the pick. So unfortunately, you're going to have to wait till Friday for that one. And if you're a premium member, make sure you link your account to the Discord, and I'll post it. And I'll just bang, post it in there. You'll see it instantly. If you're not a premium member, go to WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. It's $10 a month. You get all the picks, all the bets, all the notes, DraftKings Optimizer, DraftKings plays, ownership projections, an incredible amount of information. And half of it is exclusive only to premium members. And then on top of that, you can link your Discord. And then we have sort of an alert system there. So anytime we place a bet, you'll just get alerted on your phone, your computer, through Discord. WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. It's freaking $10. We are never, ever going to touch that price point. We're going to add features, continue moving forward, continue giving this information, and we're going to keep it at $10 because the goal is to have 100,000 members. Right now, we've got like 1,300 or something like that. We gain a few every day. We'll lose some every now and then because of a failed transaction. But right now we're about 1,300. We want that to be literally tens of thousands. And that's why we're never going to touch that price point. It's the Costco $1.50 hot dog model. And if you guys go to Costco, you know exactly what I'm talking about. WeOnPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. Then we got Magomed Mustafaev taking on Yamato Nishikawa. Yamato Nishikawa he's sort of hard to put into a category if you're breaking him down, right? His striking's pretty stiff, but it is versatile. I'm just adding syllables here. He's versatile, and he's incredibly tough. He is easily taken down, but he'll shoot his own takedowns. He'll scramble. He'll throw up submissions off his back. His biggest assets are definitely his cardio and his grit. He'll just continue to work up, continue to work through knees, continue to move forward, regardless of where he is in a fight. He's 21-3, but that is a hollow record. He's young. He's willing to work, but despite his ranking in Japan, I don't see him coming in here and making the same splash that Tatsuro Taira has in his last couple of fights. Magomed Mustafaev is a really good wrestler with solid hands and power. He's very comfortable striking, and we have seen that in a lot of his fights. He's so comfortable that he'll mix in spinning attacks when they're just completely unnecessary. He doesn't always go to his wrestling when he should, but he is capable enough on his feet that he doesn't need to all the time, if that makes sense. He doesn't need to dive at legs to get through a fight. He is coming off that loss to Brad Riddell, but that was almost 3 years ago. And if you watch that fight, you can actually see Magomed be like, okay, I'm not going to win the striking fight. So then he started to resort to wrestling, and he got 8 takedowns. But his takedown defense, on the other hand, is just okay. If you go to the Kevin Lee fight, you'll see that Kevin took him down 7 times. The odds here are going to tell you that Mustafaev is absolutely a lock to win. He's like a -600 favorite on most books right now, but there's a lot going on here to keep him out of parlays. First of all, we just saw Victor Henry, a parlay buster, right? What an absolute bum that guy looked like. And if you watch my breakdown last week, and I fed into it, so I'm not going to pretend that I didn't pick him. I fed into it, but if you listened to the words and not just the pick, I said Victor Henry beat Hani Barcelos, but Hani didn't look good in that fight. And now we just saw Hani look amazing, and I don't want to correlate those two things. I don't want people to say, oh, Victor Henry's amazing because he beat this guy, and look how good this guy is. Well, I fell into the trap like an idiot, and I feel like Magomed Mustafaev might be sort of that Victor Henry here. He hasn't fought in 3 years. When he was fighting, he's 1-3 in his last 4 with losses, 1-3 in his last 4, and losses to grapplers, losses to strikers. Yamato's very tough, and it is possible that he can weather a storm and just continues coming forward to eventually break Mustafaev. But I don't think that happens, right? I do still think that the age, the higher level of experience here, I think Mustafaev is going to get his hands raised. His striking should be faster, should be cleaner. If he somehow gets into trouble, he can lean on his wrestling. So Mustafaev is the pick, but I'm not throwing him in parlays. This, 3 years removed from all of this, he's got some Victor Henry vibes going on here. I'm not going to let him bust up a safety parlay. Then we have Zubaira Tukhugov taking on Lucas Almeida. Zubaira Tukhugov is a very good grappler with mediocre stand-up and just okay cardio. But with that being said, his wrestling is solid enough to get wins, and he doesn't necessarily need to be a complete fighter to put together wins. He just needs to charge forward, get a takedown, and work from there. If he can't get takedowns, then he is in trouble. And we've seen that in the past, especially as fights go on. Lucas Almeida is a powerful striker who loves throwing a heavy 1-2. He loves coming forward and just setting up that big right hand. When he senses blood, he will literally drop his hands, march forward, and just throw whatever he needs to try to get that finish. But he is aware enough to know that he's a striker and not a grappler. He managed ground control well on top, but if his opponents start to get their wits about them, he stands up and resets. His takedown defense is just okay at 50%, but what he does that I love is he'll make you pay for those entries, meaning if you take a shot and he defends it, he's going to hit you on the exit, he's going to knee you up the middle, and he's going to sort of make you question if you want to shoot again after that. And this fight, like many others on this card, is going to come down to takedown defense. Almeida will by far be the better striker, and they're not even in the same galaxy as far as striking is concerned, but Zubaira doesn't want to or need to strike. All he needs is takedowns, and I think he's going to get them. If you look at Zubaira's stats, you'll see that losses against Lerone Murphy, where he got 6 takedowns. Hanato Moikai, where he got 3. But the difference between those 2 fights and this one is that those guys threatened off their backs. They threw up submissions. They got sweeps. They took away the validity of the takedowns. And I don't see Lucas doing that since he's just primarily a striker. If he gets taken down, Zubaira should be able to get the control. So he's the pick. The bet will likely be a Lucas Almeida inside the distance decision, no action. If you don't know what that is, essentially that's just saying if Lucas Almeida stops Zubaira, you get paid. If Lucas Almeida is taken down and just held down and loses a decision, you get a full refund. And this is the exact spot for that. You got a very dangerous guy versus a guy who's not so dangerous. The dangerous guy is the underdog, so that's the bet. So as soon as those props drop, I will probably jump on that. If you want to go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, you can jump into Bet Online. That's our one partner that offers that bet. I'll send you $50 after you make a deposit. And if you want to know the minute we place all of our bets, go to WeWantPicks.com. Become a premium member. It's only $10, and you will get alerts to your phone instantly after you link your Discord when we place these bets. Then we got Volkan Oezdemir taking on Nikita Krylov, which is an interesting fight because we've got sort of 2 middle of the pack, maybe belong in the UFC, maybe don't guys that are both coming off like comeback wins after a couple of skids there. Volkan Oezdemir taking on Nikita Krylov, and Volkan is a striker, but he's more of a boxer than a kickboxer. He does have kicks, but they're not very natural, and he keeps them low. He's got a forward pressure style with legit power and volume. He throws his hands hard, and he throws them often. Volkan can be a miserable, with his takedowns. He's only got a 23% accuracy, That can be an issue because if he's losing striking exchanges, his chin isn't going to keep him in there. And neither can his wrestling. Nikita Krylov is a well-rounded guy with very good wrestling and striking. He's got nice forward pressure, and he mixes in punches and kicks really well. He's got solid takedowns, and he averages more than one per fight. You can question his fight IQ, though. He's coming off that win against Alexander Gustafsson, which is great. But before that, he had a loss to Paul Craig where he tripled Paul Craig's strikes and then just decided, oh, let me grapple this guy. This guy only has one possible way to win the fight, and let me go there. And then he got himself submitted. I don't know how this fight is not a pick'em. Right now, Krylov is almost a 2-1 favorite. It is blowing my... I do not know how this is not just a straight-up 50-50 pick'em down the middle. I really have no idea. I don't know what people are seeing that makes them think that Nikita Krylov wins this fight 64% of the time. Volkan has more power, cleaner striker, and just a better body of work against tougher competition. Nikita will have takedowns and a better chin, but Volkan now has an 86% takedown defense, and the only person to ever take him down more than once was Daniel Cormier. Right now, I am leaning Oezdemir to win a striking match. His chin absolutely worries me, so I'm probably going to not bet on this fight, but I got to give you a pick. I like Volkan in the underdog spot. Let me know in the comments why Nikita's a 2-1 favorite. Don't let me know why you think he wins, because I think it's a 50-50 fight. Let me know why you think he's a 2-1 favorite, because I really cannot figure that out. Then we got Makhmud Muradov taking on Caio Borralho. Makhmud Muradov is a very good boxer with nice kicks. He has solid fundamentals, and he's very clean with his technique. He's got solid takedown defense at 80%, and even if he does get taken down, which happened 3 times in 2 rounds against Gerald Meerschaert, he's normally capable enough to survive or work his way back up. Caio Borralho is a slick grappler with solid submissions and well-timed takedowns. He's got a long stance, and he's very loose on his feet, and then he explodes into double legs for takedowns. When he hits the ground, it is very clear that he's an accomplished grappler, and you can just see that with how he moves and how he controls on top. He's got belts in both judo and jiu-jitsu, and he sort of uses all of those techniques. He had an awesome head kick combo on the Contender Series that led to a stoppage, which showcases striking, and then he had incredible ground control against Gadzhi and 4 takedowns against Petrosyan, which showcases grappling. Caio is quickly becoming a contender at 185 pounds, and if I didn't see that Gerald Meerschaert take down Muradov 3 times in less than 7 minutes before submitting him, this would be kind of a hard pick. But Caio has looked incredible lately. We've seen him strike. We've seen him wrestle. We've seen him control. And I think he does all of those things in this fight. Caio's the pick. And at minus 200, which is what you can get him for right now, I think that's still a decent price. I love Caio in this spot. And if Gerald Meerschaert is taking down and submitting Makhmud Muradov, Caio Borralho is doing whatever he wants to the guy. MMA math isn't always a thing, but in this case, it's going to be. Then we got Belal Muhammad taking on Sean Brady, and this feels a lot like Nick Maximov taking on Jacob Malkoun. It feels very similar to two grapple-heavy guys taking on each other. Belal Muhammad is coming off that solid win over Vicente Luque, where he had 5 takedowns. He spent the majority of his career as a non-stop wrestler, but he has developed solid striking with what seems to be pretty good power in his hands. He's got solid fight IQ, and he knows when he should wrestle, and he knows when he should strike. And for example, he just completely outgrappled both Vicente Luque and Stephen Thompson. He wasn't going to strike with those guys. He had a combined 12 takedowns. But before that, he shot 0 takedowns against Damian Maia because he understood there's no way I want to be on the ground. Sean Brady is also a high-level grappler. He's got legit power in his hands. He plots forward and throws bombs, but he will even mix it up with spinning back fists more often than you'd like to see. He can be dangerous on his feet and is definitely dangerous on the ground. He tends to have cardio issues, but he has learned how to sort of rest on top when he gets the takedown. And it's an interesting matchup because we have 2 primary grapplers taking on each other, but they go about it very differently. Like, Belal doesn't want to strike. Brady is very willing to engage in a striking match where Belal wants to sort of trip and grind. Brady's going to shoot clean doubles up the middle. And where Belal can set a solid pace, Brady can start to slow down. So Sean is more athletic, more powerful, has a bunch of takedowns in the UFC. I like Sean here, but I think this is going to be similar to Brady Chiesa or similar to Maximov Malkoun. And in Brady Chiesa, Sean won the first 2 rounds and then gave up the third because he gassed. big time gas. And, Belal Muhammad is not the kind of guy that you can sleep on for even a half a second. That pressure is not going to stop. I think Sean Brady is pretty much better everywhere than Belal, but I think Belal's constant pressure, constant shooting might be able to get him to win. So even though it just goes against my gut to pick Belal here, I think I'm going to pick him. I think the cardio, the shooting is going to be the difference. And if we just look at Maximov versus Malkoun, even if we remove the knee injury from that fight, Jacob Malkoun was the first one to shoot. He got 2 takedowns before Maximov hurt his knee, and he just was not going to stop doing that. He just wasn't going to stop. And that's what I see Belal Muhammad doing here, just shooting, and not giving Sean Brady an inch. Even though Sean Brady is actually better everywhere, he's not going to have any time to settle in and be better. So Belal Muhammad's the pick, but I don't love it. Then we have Jacob's favorite fighter, Katlyn Chookagian, taking on Manon Fiorot. Katlyn Chookagian is sort of a tough 1-2 fighter who works hard and stays very busy, and she's just a master of the basics. She pretty much out-decisions anybody who isn't the current champion. She's not a finisher, but she does game plan very well. So sort of strike with grapplers, grapple with strikers. Her only 2 losses in the last 4 years have been to Jessica Andrade and Shevchenko, a former champion and a current champion. Her other wins are all decisions where she had a very clear striking advantage. She's definitely a problem for the division because anytime the UFC builds up a prospect, Katlyn manages to take them down. She's coming off that win over Amanda Hebras where she actually showed a lot of forward pressure and grit, which we hadn't seen from her previously. Manon Fiorot is a nasty striker with killer instinct and very real finishing power. Even when she gets taken down, she's got the skills and IQ to work back up to her feet. She likes to fight at range and pick her shots, but that doesn't mean she's low volume. She has one of the most impressive striking differentials that I've ever seen at almost 7. She's landing almost 7 significant strikes and has hit less than 3 times on the way back. But she isn't just a striker. She has takedowns in every single one of her UFC fights, including 2 against Mayra Bueno Silva and 2 against Jennifer Maia in her last fight. And this is a really tricky fight to pick. We've seen Katlyn Chookagian beat prospect after prospect, just sort of one punch at a time. And she's beaten prospects and veterans alike. She beat Viviana Araujo, who just main evented last night's card. She has composure, volume, and 15 fights of UFC experience. But Manon Fiorot is different. She hits hard. She can grapple. She also has volume. And she might be the most complete and most dangerous fighter outside of Andrade or Shevchenko that Chookagian has ever fought. And the reason this is tricky is because experience does matter. And Chookagian just knows how to win. And knowing how to win is a very important thing in this game. And she just knows how to win. Even if she's outlanded or outgrappled, she figures out how to win those fights. I am going to pick Manon here because she should literally be better absolutely anywhere. But if anyone is going to steal a decision on this card, it is Katlyn Chookagian to take a close one. That's just Katlyn Chookagian. I'm going to pick Manon. I'm leaning Manon. She's going to hit harder. She should have similar volume. She'll have better kicks, better takedowns. But Katlyn Chookagian knows how to win fights. So Manon's the pick. No money, no parlays with Manon Fiorot. Then we got Beneil Dariush taking on Mateusz Gamrot in a very interesting fight. Beneil Dariush is very good everywhere. He's got great power, great control. He's got a positive striking differential of almost 4-3. He averages more than 2 takedowns per fight, and we have seen him beat people with grappling like Tony Ferguson and Diego Ferreira, as well as striking like Scott Holtzman and James Vick. He's a perennial contender. He's riding a 7-fight win streak, but he has been sort of sitting in the void this last year waiting for a title shot. On the flip side, Mateusz Gamrot has fought twice in 12 months. Gamrot's a nasty wrestler with good striking and a diverse set of attacks. He doesn't have incredible power, but he's busy and diverse, which sets up his stoppages. He knocked out Scott Holtzman, who's a solid striker with speed and volume, and he knocked out Diego Ferreira with a great knee. And the moral of this story here is he can out-wrestle almost everyone in the division, has the ability to knock out half the division, and could potentially be a future champion. He's coming off that incredible fight with Armen Tsarukyan, where he was able to showcase just how solid he is everywhere. And I feel bad for Beneil. He literally has been mentioned for a title shot for about 2 years now, and every fight he takes seems to be sort of a placeholder while they figure out the division. And his 11-fight win streak is definitely going to come to an end. He's not going to get a crack at the title. Gamrot's going to be better everywhere. He's got power, cardio, incredible wrestling, solid pace. I just don't know what Beneil can do better than Gamrot. He definitely won't be the better pure wrestler. He's not going to be the faster fighter. And because of that, I just don't see him being able to keep this a kickboxing match or ending up on top in a grappling match. So Gamrot's the clear pick. His minus 185 odds right now are solid. Those are definitely going to move. I got 2 units on that. I would jump on that line. I think he's going to be a minus 3 something come fight night. I could be wrong, but he's just so much better than Beneil Dariush. Then we have a very interesting fight. We got Petr Yan taking on Sean O'Malley. Petr Yan is a phenomenal striker with fantastic takedown defense and a surprisingly solid takedown offense. He's a nightmare for anyone that cannot out-wrestle him, which is pretty much everybody. He plots forward with Muay Thai-style guard and then just blasts away with power and accuracy. And to cap all of that off, he's a good grappler who averages more than 1 takedown per fight. But taking him down is not an easy thing to do. He's got a 90% takedown defense over 10 UFC fights. Sean O'Malley is also a very good striker with very real power and accuracy. He's very athletic and pretty much does whatever he wants on his feet, including a wide array of kicks and spinning techniques that actually land. People have been critical of him in the past, me included, over that Chito Vera stoppage, but I think he's proven since then that he's tough, he's a gamer. His biggest asset is absolutely his pinpoint accuracy and his ability to use his reach really well. His biggest flaw is blocking leg kicks. Pedro Munoz took the first round of that fight before the eye poke, and others have had success with leg kicks as well. Sean O'Malley is 8-1-1 in the UFC, and if you ask him, he thinks he's undefeated. But his record is inflated, and he literally says he doesn't want tough fights. You don't pay me to fight tough people, I don't want to fight tough people. And the UFC's done a great job building him up, but Petr Yan is one of the toughest fights in the division. He's probably the most dangerous guy in this division. He's got power. He has a wide variety of attacks. He's got grappling. And Sean has, he also has power, but it's not raw power. It's just more timing and accuracy. And I think he has a hard time finding a rhythm with Petr because he's going to have to worry about the takedowns. He's going to worry about leg kicks, worry about spinning kicks. He's going to have to worry about everything this entire fight. My only concern here with Petr is that he has a history of taking that first round off. This is only a 3-round fight. So you can't just give away the first round in a 3-round fight, but I still think he gets it done. I think, if we look at Sean's last fight, he also took the first round off. So Petr's the pick. I am very, very confident that this is going to be a one-sided fight. There are levels to this. We have the former world champion who is still young, still aggressive, still learning, taking on, I don't want to trash Sean O'Malley because he's very good. He's literally he's doing what he's supposed to do in every single fight. But there's levels to this, and I think Petr Yan is on a completely different level. Then we have Aljamain Sterling, the champion of that division, defending his belt against TJ Dillashaw. Aljamain Sterling is a rangy striker with solid grappling, and he actually started his career as a grappler. He has takedowns in every single win before 2018. But over time, he's developed a striking style where he uses kicks really well to manage range. He lands almost 5 significant strikes per minute, and he only absorbs about 2, and that's because he does a really good job with his footwork and range control. He's coming off that win over Petr Yan to solidify his spot as champion. He had 8 minutes of control time, but he went 2 for 22 in takedown attempts, and he landed 50 fewer strikes. He essentially won that fight. People say, oh, he's going to backpack him. He literally backpacked. He just jumped that and just held on to him. Racked up that control time, took that win. And congrats to Jacob. Jacob picked him to win that fight. Most people were not. TJ Dillashaw is a great wrestler with power and feet that just never stop moving. He's very good everywhere. And without that USADA issue, could be the best to ever do it. He has got 13 wins in the UFC, with 5 of them being in title fights. His only loss since 2016 is when he went down in weight to fight Henry Cejudo. He uses his pace and pressure to keep opponents on their heels so they can never hit a rhythm. I totally understand that Aljamain is the champ, and he earned it. This isn't the fake, the knee. No, he earned this belt. This is actually his belt, but I don't understand how he's the favorite here, let alone a 2-1 favorite. I just don't see how people think he wins this fight. Is he going to take TJ down? No. I mean, good luck. Dominic Cruz is the only person to take. Only two people have ever taken TJ Dillashaw down. Dominic Cruz is one of them, and then just a random fight. But Aljamain Sterling all of a sudden is going to be taking TJ Dillashaw down. And what is he going to do? Outstrike him? That is possible, but we know that TJ is an absolute dog. And he showed us in that Sandhagen fight that he can be broken, beaten, and he will still come forward. He will still bang it out. He will still get takedowns when he needs to. And I think this fight is TJ top to bottom. I got a money line bet on him at plus 150. I have no idea what these odds are going to do. I'd like to pretend like, oh, you better hit that now. I don't know what the odds are going to do here, but I am surprised TJ Dillashaw is a plus 150 underdog. Aljamain has proven how good he is. He earned that belt. But TJ Dillashaw is a different animal. Look at who they fought. Go to Tapology. Look at who they fought, how they've beaten them over the last 5 years, and you tell me who the better fighter is. I'm going TJ Dillashaw. I got that money line bet at plus 150. I don't know what the odds are going to do there. Maybe it's a great bet. Maybe it's a horrible bet, and I should have waited. I don't know, but I'm glad I have it because I definitely think he wins. Then we got the main event. I don't want to say controversial main event, but first of all, Charles Oliveira is not the champion. They took his belt away because of the scale nonsense, and he's fighting Islam, and the whole world is split on this fight. And it's going to be very interesting. And Charles Oliveira might literally be the most well-rounded and talented guy in the UFC. He's got incredible kickboxing skills with laser accuracy. His kicks are deadly, and he throws to your legs. He'll throw to your body. He'll throw to your head. He has power, but it's really coming from speed and timing, not from his hips, which is the way you want your power to be. He averages over 2 takedowns per 15 minutes, but he's only successful 40% of the time. Fine. What really separates Oliveira from the rest of the division is his ability to just snatch up a submission in any scramble. He has the most amount of submission wins in UFC history, and his ability to snatch something up in transition means that his opponents have to be 100% aware of their surroundings every second of that fight. He is on an incredible 11-fight win streak and has the opportunity to win his belt back. It's a very, very interesting position that they put Charles Oliveira in. Islam Makhachev is most likely the best guy in the division. So I said Charles Oliveira is the most talented, well-rounded guy, but Islam's probably the best guy in the division. He's an insane wrestler with pretty good hands as well. His grappling is aggressive, and he's always looking to advance, punish, or finish. He doesn't just sort of camp out looking for a decision win either. And we've mentioned this many, many times before, but Javier Mendez is on record as saying the only time he's ever seen Khabib lose rounds in training was against Islam. And Islam is absolutely the complete package. He averages around 3 takedowns per fight. And you might say, oh, that's low, right? We just talked about Muhammad Mokaev with 11 or 12 takedowns in his last fight. What this tells you is Islam knows how to keep you there. He takes you down, holds you down, beats on you, works on you, wears on you. When you see somebody with 10 takedowns, that means they have no control. You see somebody averaging 2, 3 takedowns, that means they're getting them and they're keeping you there or finishing you there. And that's exactly what Islam does. And this is a pretty straightforward breakdown. Charles Oliveira is the better overall fighter, the more dangerous fighter as well. I don't know who could possibly argue with that. But as I mentioned earlier, you know, Islam is incredible. He's so incredible. It is just that one thing, but that one thing can dictate the entire fight. I see Islam getting the takedowns and avoiding the submissions. Islam's has the pace. He's got the pressure. He's got the patience. I completely understand that Charles Oliveira snatches up submissions better than anyone has ever done it. But it's not like he's quicksand. It's not a guarantee that if you're on the ground, you're going to be submitted. Charles has been on the ground, and stick with me here. You're going to hear a bunch of numbers. Charles Oliveira has been on the ground in 24 of his 30 UFC fights. He has won 16 of those by submission. And while a 66% submission rate on the ground is astonishing, it's not 100%. And if you look closer, you'll see that only 2 of those 16 submission wins were where he was taken down. Okay? So he has 16 submission wins. 14 of them, he got the takedown. Only 2 of them was he taken down. Meaning, if Charles Oliveira gets the takedowns, you're effed. You're effed. But if you get the takedowns, there's a path. I like Islam to get the takedowns, keep the control, avoid the submissions. I think Islam Makhachev wins this fight. I'm very confident in that. Obviously, Charles Oliveira is ridiculously dangerous, but we've seen his chin be a little suspect. And not that Islam's a great kickboxer, but Islam's chin, his only loss ever, he was put out, but we've seen him take some shots since then. So Islam's the pick. I think he wastes no time striking, starts the grapple, and I think he avoids those submissions. Islam Makhachev will be the lightweight champion at the end of UFC 280. Guys, don't forget, WeWantPicks.com. Become a member. Because it's incredible value. It's $10 a month. That's $2.50 a week. All of the content, all the pits, all the bets, DraftKings Optimizer included. The Optimizer alone, other people are charging $30 a month for. We're charging $10 for the Optimizer, plus the bets, plus the picks, plus the raw notes. We do DraftKings ownership. We do player rankings. I give you prize picks, underdog, and monkey knife fight prop picks as soon as those lines drop as well. $10 a month. And if you don't do any of those things, but you like our content and support us, become a premium member. WeWantPicks.com. At the top, there's a button. Click it. It says become a member. And then, as always, if you want $50, go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our betting partners. Make a deposit. We send you $50 as a thank you. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Make a deposit. We send you $50. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, however you want it. Guys, this is my video. Jacob will do his own quick picks. We will do a live stream where we sort of battle out his picks versus mine. We're going to do a fight companion. We're going to do all the things. We have fresh content for you 7 days a week. So make sure you like, subscribe, and do all the things.